GPVWC 2020 is go!
Hello everyone and welcome back to GPVWC. This is the round from Suzuka in Japan, the only figure of 8 circuit on the calendar, and one that has been hosting Grand Prix since the 80s, and one that all of the drivers tend to like and tend to appreciate every time we go here. There's a threat of rain today, which could make it even more interesting than it normally is. And joining me to talk through this excitement is Tom Parker. Hello, Tom.
Hello everybody, it's nice to do Superleague Lights. I haven't done a Superleague Lights commentary for a long time, so but nice to hear, nice to see it call on the action, it'd be good.
Indeed, it's actually the first time I've commentated with you, Tom, so welcome in, and I'm sure that we're both going to have a great time talking over this one, hopefully not talking over each other, but talking over this race event that we have here today. 44 laps of the Suzuka circuit is what we have in store for us. Now, I'm actually not on the server right now. I don't know if you are, but I'm just going to get up the live timing so I can keep an eye on qualifying. But we do have a 15-minute qualifying session, which is going to decide the grid order for the race. Let me talk you through some of the drivers actually who are going to be trying to benefit from this session. Of course, Liam de Vries not here. He has already wrapped up the championship and moved on up to Super League, and won't be featuring in Super League Lights again this season. He scored 10 victories in a row, an incredible streak, and ended up moving up to Super League rather than going for the full streak. Michael Francesconi and Colin Spork are very close for second in the championship, just 4 points in it. And with Colin Spork winning his first round last time out, which was at Sochi, he will have a boost of confidence coming into this round, of course. And that was actually a really exciting race. The top two, Spork and Williams, separated by less than a quarter of a second at the end of the race. It was almost a photo finish. If you want to go back and watch that, you can after this race, because it is archived on the YouTube channel. But anyway, Michael Francesconi still holding second place in the championship on 142 points from Spork's 138. Sandeep Singh is fourth in the championship, followed by Dino Paolini, Dawi Tapa, Jack Mayer, Tomasz Vok, Leon Bock, and Jaka-Pekka Lalu, the top 10. In terms of the team standings, Cenobite are absolutely dominating. They've actually already won the team's championship as far as anyone is concerned, and they have a 190-point lead over CM Tech, which is quite something, especially with only a couple of rounds to go in this championship. CM Tech Racing are second, with TG Racing third. MDR, Mia Downard Racing, are fourth, and then powered by RSR are in the fifth spot. But anyway, those are the drivers to look out for. Tom, how's it looking in qualifying so far?
Yeah, so we've got the first few times coming in. Colin Spork, fastest 28.715, couple of attempts clear of Matthew Williams. These two were the fastest. No, they weren't. They were in the top 4 in the pre-practice session just before the start. And we've got quite close times actually in practice. Quite a lot of obviously trading times as the grip went on and got better and better and better. But interestingly, Giuseppe Lino, sorry, for TG Racing, fastest in the first sector on his current lap, currently in 16th place, coming around to finish his lap now. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do. But yeah, you were saying it's really, really close actually. Like I didn't realise Sandy was so close to the second spot. I think it's where he's just been consistently there or thereabouts in the top 5 or so all season. He's sort of clawed himself into that little second place reckoning. So is Paolini, to be fair. So it's not over for second place between Francesconi and Sport. A couple of good results for Singh and Paolini. They could be right up there.
Yeah, Singh is an outside shot for that second in the championship, but he's less than 25 points off Francesconi, which of course is less than a win's worth. But anyway, Liam de Vries, of course, already won the championship, but that means that the real fight and that the real focus is on that scrap for fourth. Francesconi, Spork, Singh, possibly Paolini, although he really needs to pick up a few good results if he's going to get back in that fight. And there are a couple of other drivers who threatened to get involved earlier in the season but dropped back a little, like Jack Mir, and also some of the drivers who haven't made every race, like Matthew Williams and Jeffrey Fournier and some of the other big names. Talking of Williams, he and Spork are indeed currently at the top of the times, with Spork just ahead of Williams. Those are the two, of course, who had that ridiculously close finish last time out at Sochi after racing for the entire race. Oh, they've just been split actually by Tobias Polotzek. So Polotzek goes second with a 1:28.897. That is just under 0.2 of a second off Spork. So Spork still has the top time. But that's pretty good from Polotzek. Relatively consistent sectors, not fastest in any of them, but you don't need to be. You just need to be more. You need to be faster on average than your opponents, and that's what he's doing so far, as James Stuber there goes up to 6th place. So we're just under 9.5 minutes to go in the session. It's Spork, Polotzek, Williams, Francesconi, Wach, Tuber, Lalu, Sorrentino, Lino, and Rees. So that's how they stand. A couple of cars still yet to set qualifying laps. Jakob Kalbarczyk, Mike Quint, Pascal Schmidt, Massimilio Riboli. I don't know how many of those are intending to. Some of them may have heavy grid penalties or something like that and just don't want to risk anything. But anyway, that's how they stand, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, the usual suspects at the top, isn't it, really? Spork and Williams, but Polotzek's doing a good job there in the MDR car. Since he's come into the car, he's had a bit of consistent. I know he had a bit of bad luck last time out in Sochi. That's both cars did. I think both cars retired, didn't they, in the end? So, a bit of a nightmare round for MDR in their battle for second. But yeah, Polotzek's doing a good job at the moment. I was just going to give a shout out to Dowie Tapper. He'd done his time on the mediums, but he's just gone out on a fresh set of softs. So, imagining he'll be out for a quicker lap time. But yeah, 15th place on the mediums at the moment. For his time, not bad considering the delta. He's only 6 cents off, so I don't know what the side delta will be around here. But Dowie, obviously the king of coming into the practice session at the very last second for some reason, bless him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know he was very disappointed with what happened last time out in Sochi. So he'll be looking to make amends here in Suzuka.
Yeah, I don't see why he would have set a lap on medium tyres there, because it's not like Formula 1 where you can save your softer sets and then go through to the next session and still have them to play with or whatever, because this is a single session qualifying. And how it works in terms of cars starting on different compounds is that the top 10 have to start on the tyre they qualified on, so usually, pretty much always the softer compound of tyre, and then the drivers behind get free choice no matter what they qualified on, and that means that you really do only see one set of tyre on qualifying. The soft tyre is pretty much the qualifying and start of race tyre in Superleague Lights. So yeah, I'm expecting them to all be equal here. Matthew Williams has just gone to the top of the order, 1:28.630, so he beats his rival Colin Spork. Spork drops to second. Although Sport currently, oh my goodness, fastest in both of the first two sectors as we stand. And he has just gone faster still. So 1:28.559 from Spork, just under 1/10 of a second faster from Williams. So Williams struck, but Spork struck back almost immediately.
Well, Francesconi's about to go pole as well. He's going even faster, a massively fast middle sector from Francesconi. And yep, he just pits into the 28.395 from Francesconi. So 10.5 clear of Spork and Williams. So that's pretty good.
Fantastic. This, well, Francesconi versus Spork is the fight for second in the championship. Williams sadly hasn't made anywhere near enough races to be a contender for that, but he wants to spoil their fun nonetheless. Sandeep Singh also up there. He's in 4th position so far. So we've got all of the real contenders right up the pointy end. As you said, it's the usual suspects all fighting it out for pole. But anyway, Williams really thought he'd pulled something out of the bag with that lap, I expect, and then just got it absolutely whisked away from him, first by Spork and then also by Francesconi. And that tends to be how it happens in Superleague Lights, because all of the cars are so close. The lap time's really, really competitive. I'm just watching, as Hygo Poom goes up to 6th, I'm just watching Jakopek Lally crossing the line. He's not about to improve. I thought he was, but no. Just about missed out on that by a 10th of a second or so. But the top 10 looking very, very competitive so far. Top 5 within half a second of each other, and the top 26 separated by 2 seconds. So it's not the closest field we've ever seen, but it's close enough that you really can't afford a mistake on your flying lap.
Goodness me! So between Thomas Vark in 8th and Jack Mayer in 18th, there is a 10th and a half. So yeah, 10th and a half here will potentially, for Jack, could potentially gain him up 10 places. So that's quite a jump. So it obviously just shows the competitive nature of Super League Lights. Obviously, the feeder series to Super League, our top series here at GPVWC. But yeah, the boys doing a good job at doing what they can do. But it's nice to see High go up in 6th. Well, he should drop down to 7th, actually. I think someone's just improved. But George Whitehouse into 4th. That's a cracking job from George, who's in Centrebike machine alongside Colin. But yeah, nice to see High go up there. I know he's had a real struggle this season with something. So nice to see him in 7th at the moment.
Yeah, Poom doing well in that Zederic racing car. Of course, teammate 2, Dari Tapu, who's had a much more consistent season, but here comes Poom into the pits, so he's going to be setting up for, I think, another run. Meanwhile, Colin Spork has just emerged out of the pits again, so he's setting up for another run. What does Williams do? He does set up for another run now, so off goes Williams, puts the hammer down, and let's watch this actually. Let's watch a lap of the Suzuka circuit from Matthew Williams. You have the really, really fast and difficult turn at 1, and I think that counts as turn 2 there. It's double apexed anyway, and at that I would say it's the most difficult corner on the track, but it varies for different people. Into the S's, left, right, left, and the final of those corners is the Dunlop curve, which you enter now, turn 7. Sadly, the site of some rather nasty accidents in Grand Prix racing history. It's very challenging corner. Matthew Williams down into the Degners now, the 2 Degner curves. Those are probably some of the accident black spots of this circuit, because it's very easy to dip a wheel into the gravel, and if you do, it just sucks you wide, and off you go. We've just exited the hairpin, and now we head through, I think this is called 230R. Named after the angle that it ultimately takes you around, and then Spoon Curve, one of the most famous corners on the circuit, shaped like a traditional Japanese spoon. We're now about to go over the circuit. Actually, as I mentioned earlier, it's a sort of figure of 8 style circuit. Weird 8 if I've ever seen one, but anyway, and just there he went over the top of cars going underneath through a tunnel, past the magnificent 130R complex and into the Casio Triangle, and then the final corner to end the lap. And this for Matthew Williams is a 128.493, and that puts him less than a 10th of a second off Michael Francesconi, but it wasn't enough still to put him up to pole position. He is 2nd as it stands, Tom.
Yeah, he did actually lose a 10th in the middle sector, so if he'd done a PB or even just matched his PB in the middle sector, he probably would have snatched pole from Francesconi by a couple of thousandths. But Francesconi and Spork both setting PBs in 1st and 3rd place respectively, both about half a tenth up on each other. So as to Francesconi, he's a bit further up in the lap. He's just entering the spoon curve now, so like I said, very fast double left, very easy to go off wide here. Obviously not as daunting as the Degners. Obviously, Degners has got the gravel on the outside, but here we go. Leno is going to be giving Francesconi a lovely slipstream up towards the 130R. He is currently 2 tenths up on his time. Francesconi really means business today. Oh, he's going to the inside. Interesting tactic. I would have gone to the outside personally, but okay. That's fine. It's worked for him. He's going to go into the final corner now. And doesn't get it right. Well, nasty little bump here on the ridge. There's a little ridge here. Just got to make sure you get that right. He lost a little bit of time in the braking there, but he will improve his time to a 28.313. Gives himself a bit of breathing room.
Indeed he does. Michael Francesconi with a fantastic lap time there, and Colin Spork jumping up to second, but still just a tenth of a second as nearest makes not much difference behind Francesconi, and unless he's got enough for another flying lap straight off the back of that one, that is going to be, I think, probably pole for Michael Francesconi, definitely second at best for Colin Spork. So Spork needs to hope he's got enough in the tank, unless he will settle for P2. Matthew Williams just coming into the pit, so that is his session done, and that really means that it's down to Spork and Francesconi now for that pole position. And I think that Spork may be backing off potentially. Well, they're both together on track actually, Spork and Francesconi, and I'm not sure this is looking particularly quick from Spork actually, as Francesconi runs wide. So yeah, I think he's just bringing it back to the pits here, isn't he?
Yeah, he's half second down. He's bringing back. I wonder if he's going to be giving Whitehouse a cheeky little slipstream, but Whitehouse
That's exactly what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got it all wrong though in the second sector. He actually set a PB first sector, but he's just lost out in the second sector. I don't think unless he has a mega final, he'll improve here. But we'll see what he can do. He's still on a decent lap. Oh, he's run wide though. There he goes. Unfortunately, it seems to have caught him unawares there. Unfortunately.
George Whitehouse replacing Stefano Cavacciuti in the Cenobite car and coming back into the pit. So that is the end of the qualifying session for those guys. Sandeep Singh's just jumped up into 6th and then we're covered to the pits. I don't think there are any drivers going significantly faster. Dawi Tapper's a long way down the order here, down in 19th place. Now he is improving in the first sector and he is still on a lap, so he'll be able to finish this one. Christian Marchrak also putting in a couple of faster sectors, but also a long way down the order. Thomas Vock might be one to watch, but sorry for jumping around the order a bit. I think we'll keep watching Dawi Tapper for the time being, and I'll update you if Vock does anything special in the second sector or whatever. But yeah, Dawi Tapper is 5th in the championship and 6th in the championship, but you would never have guessed it from this performance, I'm afraid. Through the final few corners of the lap he goes, and this is definitely going to be an improvement for him, but by how much? Across the line he goes. P7, that's not actually that bad at all. Dino Paolini jumps straight up behind him in P8. And I think that is pretty much it for the qualifying session. Let's watch Ruben van den Hudding. I think he's going to be the last person to complete a lap, trying to get himself off 26th on the grid and gets himself P25. So Demroots, Casper, Michalak there. Although, of course, penalties may still be applied if there were any hanging over from the last round, but whatever. Michael Francesconi is the pole sitter here at Suzuka. Less than a tenth of a second in it, though, with Colin Spork second, relatively close. And that is the fight for second in the championship. Matthew Williams is third, followed by George Whitehouse, the new signing for Cenobite. Then it's Tomasz Voch, Sandeep Singh, Dawi Tapper, Dino Paolini, James Zuba, and Tobias Polotzek rounding out the top 10. And I will update you on the full order when we head towards the actual race section in the formation lap. But anyway, that's qualifying over. Pretty close, eh, Tom?
Always is, like you said, always is in Superleague Lights. Yeah, Thomas Fark and Miss Reese in 12th, separated by a tenth. So mental stuff. You just look at the gaps. The difference between the gaps and the drivers is 0.00 in some cases. It's absolutely mental. But a nice field spread. I mean, Francesconi on pole could be expected. Spork as well up there. Williams, since he's come back down from Super League, really has been pushing these guys quite hard. So it'll be interesting to see if Williams can muscle his way into race contention today. And Whitehouse as well. I know he's not had much practice today. So George Whitehouse doing a very good job in the Cenobite, actually. See, maybe he could be an outside shot for a podium. But yeah, it's looking like it's going to be a fun race. Should be a one-stopper today. So we shall have to see what happens in these 44 laps around this lovely Suzuka circuit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a one-stopper last year. I was commentating that round, and I think indeed it was a one-stop. Although I think there was maybe weather involved. But anyway, let's keep an eye on what goes on to do with that today. It's a difficult circuit to overtake on, so if you can make the one-stop work, then it should be beneficial, as you're going to lose a lot more in terms of the track position via two-stopping, and those positions you'd hope to make up on the road would be pretty much well, not impossible, but a lot harder to pull than at a track like, say, Monza, Spa, or Silverstone. But anyway, into the warm-up session we go. Just a few minutes to go before the start of the race. So let's have a look at a quick recap of the season so far. If you're just tuning in, I was explaining near the start of the broadcast how Liam de Vries took 10 wins in a row, which is quite incredible, to win the Superleague Lights Championship. He wrapped it up as early as Spa. And when he left, it was down to his teammate Colin Spork to take over the reins for Cenobite, which he's been doing excellently. Took a second place at Monza as Leon Buck came in, brother, of course, of Yannick Buck, the main Super League champion. And he took 4 podiums, including that win at Monza. Then at Singapore, Michael Francesconi won as Spork and Williams fought hard and then eventually crashed, leading to Sandeep Singh picking up his best result of the season with a second place. And then last time out, of course, was Sochi, where Spork and Williams were set to fight again. And luckily this time they didn't crash. In fact, they had a fantastic battle. 6 changes of lead throughout the course of the race. And in the end, it was Spork who just came out on top by less than a quarter of a second. You do not get much closer than that. And that is how we've ended up where we are in the championship now, with Francesconi, Spork, and Singh fighting hard over second in the standings. 4 different winners. Liam de Vries, Michael Francesconi, Colin Spork, and Leon Buck, with the latter of the 3 all going for, well, except for Leon Buck, who's not here, but Francesconi and Spork both going for their second win of the series in order to get the upper hand over the other driver, Tom.
Yeah, and like I said, Francesconi currently in the lead of that battle, but it's only 4 points, so even if Francesconi came second to Spork today, he would end up back behind him. So it's that close, really. I think that's going to be something that's going to go down to the final race in Brazil, which is obviously a wonderful track. Love that place. So interesting to see. I mean, Spork's obviously started out as a relatively unknown in the GPV. Obviously, no one really heard of him. Very quick on other games, but never made a transition over to R-Factor 2 and this particular series. But it's come on strongly, and like you said, now he leads Cenobite towards the title. Really, he's leading him towards it as Liam has now graduated up. And Francesconi is someone who's been having a bit of an odd season, really. Like some races early on in the season, he seemed to be having a bit of an off day. Like that used to happen quite a lot, but he seems to have sorted that out recently. And now since he got that first win, he seems to have something's clicked, and now he's always there, always in the top 3, top 2. He's always consistently getting the places now. So we'll see if he can keep that up. But yeah, I think it'd be a fool to maybe discount Singh and Paolini. Those two, as proven all season long, they can be consistent. Obviously, Singh seems to be one of you to pick up the scraps if something's offered to him. So hopefully we'll see Sandeep in that fight. I mean, if not, yeah, he's 22 points behind. 3 races to go. Who knows? But it's going to be interesting to see what he can do from. I think he's starting 7th or 6th today. So yeah, starting 6th. So he could definitely get a chance for an outside podium. He's always someone who's very good on his tyres as well as Sandeep. So if you got stuck in traffic here, especially for the first sector, it's an absolute nightmare. As you alluded to earlier, Caitlin, you can't overtake in the first sector. It's just impossible. So unless you're absolutely balls to the wall. So maybe an overcut could be potential for could reap some real big rewards here.
Indeed. It's also great to see George Whitehouse so close to the top of the order. He was P4 in qualifying and absolutely flying there in the second Cenobite car. Now, I've already seen Whitehouse once in this championship. He was racing for Bastvik at Singapore, came 7th in that, and that was not a bad performance at all. So I'm glad that he's got another chance in GPVWC Super League Lights. He very much deserves it, and that qualifying performance has shown us that exactly exactly. He's actually done 2 Super League outings this year for Ghost Speed at Canada and France. No points in that, I'm afraid. Finished 16th in both races, but still, Super League Lights is where he deserves to be right now, in my opinion, and he is showing us exactly why. But yeah, George Whitehouse, another of the very young competitors on the grid. I'm not sure exactly how old he is, but it's about my age. And he has a couple of Super Cup podiums under his belt already. 2 third place at Canada this year, a 3rd place at France, 1 at Silverstone, and along with that, started the season well in Formula Challenge, took a 3rd place at Australia for the academy team in fact, and he has an academy podium under his belt as well. Still looking for his first GPVWC victory outside of Formula Challenge, where he picked up 2 wins last year, but 4th place on the grid today, a very strong performance.
Yeah, not bad for someone who started practicing at 3 o'clock today. So,
Yeah.
George is he's brilliant. He was racing. I know that he was racing the first half of the season with 1 arm. He broke his arm. So
Oh, wow.
he was racing Super Cup and Formula Challenge for the first part of the season, like I said, with a broken arm. So he is now he's back to full health. Hopefully, as you said, he's in Super League Lights and pulling off 4th out somewhere. So fair play to the lad. I've got a lot of time for him. Very nice bloke. So good to see him doing so well. And who knows, maybe he'll get his first Super League Lights podium today.
We shall see. 4 minutes to go until this warm-up session ends, and then we will be away on the formation lap. But yeah, George Whitehouse doing an excellent job in that Cenobite car so far. Talking of the teams championship, of course, Cenobite, as we already said, absolutely dominating that. They have pretty much won it already. I'm not sure if they've mathematically wrapped it up or not, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter at this stage. They've got so much of an advantage. They are also the most upgraded package in terms of the upgrade points, followed by CM Tech and then TG Racing. 2nd in the championship, of course, and 3rd in the championship are CM Tech and TG as they stand. CM Tech today have, I think, their usual lineup: Tomasz Bock and Dino Paolini. Indeed they do. And TG, of course, are led by I've completely forgotten his name. Oh goodness, Michael Francesconi. That's it. Sorry, went straight off the top of my
Terence is the
head.
manager. Yeah,
And then
Terence is the manager. Michael's the driver.
Giuseppe Leno as well is their 2nd driver today, and that's the first outing he's had for them this season. Of course, last time out they had Dan Herlock making a one-off outing and finishing P12 for them at Sochi. But yeah, they've brought in Giuseppe Leno. Of course, earlier on in the season than that seat was taken up by Jacob Reed, and before that, Jason Muscat. So they've had a bit of a revolving door in the 2nd car there, and this is the 4th driver they've trialed in that 2nd seat this year. So we'll see if he can impress. The best result so far taken by that 2nd seat was a 4th place by Jason Muscat. So I suppose that may, well, from his starting position, I'm not sure if Giuseppe Lino will be able to get close to that, but you know, he's going to give it his best shot, and we'll see what he can do with it. But anyway, I think that's still Jason Muscat's helmet in the seat there, unless I'm wrong. But anyway, I may be wrong about that. I'm not hugely familiar with the helmets. It does say Lino 33 the roll hoop, so at least they've got that right. And yeah, he will be in the other TG Racing car. Mayor Downward Racing team, 4th in the championship. They have Tobias Polotzik, who has been doing fairly well since he's taken over that car. Picked up a 9th place a couple of races ago, although sadly that was his only points finish so far this season from his 4 races. And the other driver, of course, is Jack Mayer, one of the 2 team bosses members of that lineup, with it being Mir Downard Racing. He has 2 podiums already this season, so that has to be the target for the second seat. Most successful driver that has taken the second seat so far has been Frank Hamming, who picked up a podium at Paul Ricard. But also in that seat we've had Lewis Bickers, who started the year. But anyway, that is Mir Downard Racing Team, who haven't appeared particularly quick so far today, but the race is where you score points, so yeah.
Yeah, Jack, like I said earlier, they both had a really, really poor outing last time in Sochi. I know Jack had the that weird lag incident with one of the TCOS
He
drivers.
did.
So that was a potential, 5th, 6th place gone out the window. And then Polotzik as well had a few issues on lap 1, I believe. So without that, MDR probably would be second in the standings, if not at very worst third. So that's a tight little battle there, actually, between second, third, and fourth. So interesting to see how that one plays out. Especially, like I said, MDR seems to be a little bit off the pace today. But in TG Racing, are being led by Francesconi. He's the only one who's really scoring consistent points for them. CM Tech looked best placed to take it, obviously, not only in position, but in terms of places in the race today. So we'll have to see how that one goes. But yeah, nice to have a little battle going on for something towards the end of the season. I know it's obviously not the top honours, but it's nice for them to be fighting for something and prove that they are deserving of a place potentially in Super League next year.
Actually, you know what? I would like to give a quick shout out to TTF Racing, because they may only be 10th in the championship and they may not have been able to score a podium yet, but they are the only team that has stuck with their driver lineup throughout the whole season, and that makes my job a lot easier as a commentator. Pedro Mora and Giuseppe Saracino are these drivers, if you're interested, and every other team, I'm afraid, has been a little bit of a revolving door. You tend to get that with Super League Lights because a lot of the drivers here are trying desperately to move up to Super League. Some of them can't make it every round anyway, so you do tend to end up with a little bit of a revolving door, and it's just nice to see at least one team keep the driver lineup the entire way through. Saracino couldn't make it to the last round, although I think he was intending to, but that's the only round he's missed, and they didn't replace him. So the 2 drivers that they started the season with are still here today, Saracino and Mora. And we're now about to start a formation lap. So here is the grid order. It will be Michael Francesconi starting on pole position for TG Racing, followed by Colin Spork, Cenobite, then Matthew Williams for TR Bluevos Motorsports. George Whitehouse will be P4, also for Cenobite, doing a good job there. And then it's Thomas Vok, Sandeep Singh, Dowie Tapper, Dino Paolini, James Zuber, and Tobias Palozzo were top 10. Mattia Kiersmakers, Hygo Poom, Pedro Mora, Jakub Lalu, and Giuseppe Lino also in the top 15. And out of what will eventually be the point scoring positions, Pascal Schmidt, Jack Mayer not having a good qualifying, Alejandro Lopez, Jakub Karberczyk, Ermas Rees, Mike Quince are the 2 TCS off cars are together there in 20th and 21st. They would have been hoping slightly better than that. Liam Rance, 22nd, then it's Ruben van den Hudding, Giuseppe Saracino, Kasper Michalak, Massimilio Riboli, and then Christian Malchrak. Grid, 27 drivers are going to be taking the start here, Tom.
Yeah, 27. So good little round up there. Reese did have a grid penalty from the last round, so that's probably why he's down in 20th. He qualified 12th, I believe. So after penalties, down to 20th, which is a bit of a shame, but it did promote other drivers up. Tyre compound wise, the usual top 10 on softs. Kiersmakers in 11th on the hard tyre, so obviously not confident. Suzuka can be a tyre eater, as they say, one of the ones who likes to munch on the tyres. And they were not thinking that the one slot's possible on the softer mediums today, so they've gone for the hards. So yeah, Kiersmakers on the hard, Hygo Poom on the mediums, Mora mediums, Lalu mediums, Schmidt is on the hard, Mayer mediums. Oh, we've got Alejandro Lopez is on the soft, so fair play. Nice to try that, as is Karl Barsic. Ermas Rees on the hards, Quint on the mediums, so they're splitting the strategy at TC off. Rance mediums, Van der Hudding mediums, Saracino mediums, Michalak mediums, and you can guess the rest, they're all mediums. So it's a nice split. A couple of hard compound tyre drivers there, so it'll be interesting to see how far they can go into this race. Like I said, should be a one-stop pretty comfortably. It'd be interesting to see if those mediums do fall off too quickly, though. 44 laps. I can see him doing it. It should be fine for the one-stop today, so we'll have to see as they head towards their grid slots.
You see, I'm interested in that fight for 11th there, Kismix and Poom, because Kismix is in a tough position. He's 11th, which is a great place to be in, and he's the first hard-tired driver. Although, if he gets passed by Poom, that could really compromise his strategy, and Poom is on a softer tyre and has the advantage at the start. But anyway, I should also quickly say I don't have replays active for this, so I won't be able to tell you about things that have already happened. Not sure if you do, Tom, but I think... Okay, that's good, so we won't be completely missing out on that. Also, quick shout out to Marathon Racing. They did not make it to the last round, but they do have both drivers here today, which is great to see, so welcome back to them. Anyway, here come the lighting sequence. Well, I think everyone's in position, so we're just waiting for the lights to illuminate, and when they go out, we will be underway here at Suzuka for 44 laps of the Suzuka circuit. And it's a long hold, and I don't know who's not in position yet, but anyway, this does sometimes occur, and it means the tyres will be getting colder and colder near the front of the order. Also keep an eye on the clouds, because there is a definite chance it might rain today. Well, not a definite chance, that would mean it already is raining, but there is a high chance that it might rain today. That could really shake things up. We're still stopped on the grid, and... the race director says hold still please, so maybe someone was shaking around a little. You can see Michael Francesconi is a little shaky on the broadcast. I'm not sure exactly why, but the lights are not wanting to come on here, and I say this often happens, but it doesn't normally hold for this long. Normally you have normally you have lights by now.
Yeah. Someone's starting to smoke now. Who's that?
Oh, well, the cars... Oh, 2 cars overheating. 3. The cars will be beginning to overheat now because they are designed to race. You know, they're not designed to be stopped on the grid like this. And there's obviously been a glitch or something because the start has been abandoned. So we have an abandoned start, and the drivers are going to have to do the formation lap all over again before they go back. So I'm not exactly sure what the problem was there, but whatever happened, we have an abandoned start here at Suzuka.
I must say, I've never seen that before. That's very odd. I've never ever seen that before, ever in R Factor 2. So
that was rare. I've seen that happen in real life, where drivers have where the lighting gantry has failed and they've had to send the cars around for another formation lap. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure why that's happened in Simracing, but I guess it is what it is, and we just have to go for it again.
Yeah, so it looks like there's been a bit of an issue with the grid, so it looks like we're just going to start the grid up again. We're going to start warm up again, redo the grid, and then on our way again. But yeah, something new. Look, I pop in and something goes mental. How odd. But yeah, good stuff. At least we've got it sorted, and at least we are going to have a race today, I promise, guys. So we will get there eventually, but must admit, never seen it better as we go. Mr. Chris Williamson will advance us again to the grid. I wonder if anyone will change their tyre choices. That'd be interesting. But
it would be, because they've effectively revealed their cards now and shown everyone what they're intending to do. Everyone behind the top 10, of course. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see who was it in P11? Was it Matteo Kiesmakers?
Yes.
Yes. Wouldn't be surprised to see him go for a change to try to maybe hold off Hygo Poom, maybe start on the mediums and try to run them for a bit longer. But you know, a lot of these drivers would have practiced with one strategy and one strategy only, so for safety they may well keep with that. But yeah, I certainly wouldn't rule out some drivers doing it slightly differently. They're definitely allowed to.
Yeah, they can change it up until they start from the grid, so they can change it up until they've got 10 seconds left. They want to change them. But it looks like Kismakers is sticking with his choice. Poom sticking with his choice. It looks like everyone else is. So no changes there. That'd have been exciting. But yeah. Hopefully we get to start this time.
Indeed, yeah. We're still waiting. Oh, right, second formation lap has now begun. So again, Michael Francesconi, Colin Spork, Matthew Williams, George Whitehouse, Wah, Singh, Tapper, Paulini, Juba, Polotsek, Kiesmakers, Poom, Mora, Lalu, Lino, Schmidt, Nea, Lopez, Kalbachik, Reese, Quint, Rance, Van den Hudding, Saracino, Michalach, Raboli, and Christian Malcharak are the 27 drivers that we have here today. I think one of the cars that's missing... Actually, no, I don't know why I said that, because I don't actually know who's missing at all. Of course, we have a maximum of 30 cars here today, but anyway, whatever the case, we still will we'll get 27 cars. I thought initially that maybe one of the Fusion cars was, but no, because Ruben van den Hudding's here, so we do have both of them.
One of the Stacks Racing's not here, so that's one of them.
Okay.
Unfortunately. But,
yeah, it would make sense that it would be an entire team, because that's why we're not noticing that there's only one of a car on the grid or whatever. But
yeah.
Anyway.
Let's see if we can get started this time. Yeah, like I said, everyone's kept their tyre choices. Yeah, so I don't expect to see anything. It's good to see that the Allied cars, sorry, the TCS off. Changed your name so many times, Carter. The Allied, he's done it again. The TCS off guys, they've switched split strategy. So Reese in 20th, like I said, did qualify about 12th, so he did have a grid penalty. But he's starting on the hards with Quint behind him on the mediums. I know Mike is pretty confident with the car, so he feels pretty comfortable with it now. Just didn't quite have the pace he had last time out. Obviously, Mike, I would say one of the performances of the race really last time out. I think he finished 6th or 7th in the end. It was great drive from Mike. One of those drives that comes out of nowhere and sort of really like surprises you, and he did a really good job. So obviously not replicating the pace this time, but obviously maybe we can see what he can do from 21st on the grid. But other than that, it's be looking to see who can crack it. Can George Whitehouse get into the podium position? That'd be great. I think these top three seem to have a bit of a monopoly on the rest of the field at the moment. They're like a slight bit ahead of everyone else, I would say. But nice to see George like trying to disrupt them. It's nice, that's the word, disrupt them a little bit, and see how he gets on in, like you said, his first start to Centrebike this season.
I hope these drivers aren't made too restless by that aborted start. A lot of the time you see accidents on restarts because the drivers have got a little bit restless, a little bit carried away, and it kind of takes you out of what they'd call, the zone, which you hear drivers talking about sometimes. But anyway, these guys are experienced, or at least a lot of them are, and now they line up on the grid again. So hopefully we do get the lighting sequence starting up. Christian Malcharak will be the last car we're waiting for as he pulls into the 27th grid slot and stops. Right, red lights, come on, where are you? Michael Francesconi waiting for them, looking, watching and waiting. The gantry up above. And
they worked in Super Cup yesterday, so
there's still no lights. Oh my goodness. I think a couple of cars are like seem to be vibrating a bit, but you do sometimes get that. Like, it's nothing unusual, but it is unusual to see the lights just refuse to come on. So something's not happy. I have never seen this before. I've seen. So
there we go.
We have lights and 5, and it is go at Suzuka. We do have a start. Francesconi leads. Sport keeps it on the inside. Francesconi comes across to defend, and as they head into turn 1, there's contact. They touch, and Colin Sport just keeps it in the right direction, and he takes the lead. Now, I'm not sure how Francesconi will feel about that. There may be a stewards inquiry, but for now, Colin Sport leads the race. Francesconi second, Williams third, Whitehouse is fourth, and everyone else streams through behind. And it's a clean start. All 27 drivers make it through the first couple of corners. Fantastic. So up the hill they head again. Some cars smoking slightly. Tobias Polotzek is smoking, sitting on the grid like that. But everyone still running, which is great to see. Into the hairpin for the first time. Anyone going for some outbreaking maneuvers?
There's been an incident. There's been an incident in the Degners. Yes, Liam Rance, Pascal Schmidt has got no rear wing. So that's a quick look at that. Bit of an incident in the Degners.
Clearly has some damage there. Not entirely sure why. Rance also missing his front. Reese missing his front wing. Everyone else is okay. and we're about to complete the first lap of the race. I'll be interested in seeing what the gap is between the leaders, and whether Francesconi will be able to keep with him long enough to get into the DRS range. Also, just seen a change. Paolini's dropping a couple of places now. Through goes Hygo Poom. Tobias Polacek also just got past him, so Paolini losing some time and dropping to P11. Hygo Poom into the top 10 on those medium tyres, and he has got past Matteo Keersmakers. So Poom is the top driver on the alternate strategy, or on a alternate strategy, and that's important for him. So we'll see how he goes in the remainder of this race. But after the first lap, Spork, Francesconi, Williams, Whitehouse, and Work are the top 5, and then the rest of the field stream through. Most of them okay, although into the pits come Malchirek. Rance is out, Reese is out, and Schmidt is out. So those 3 have retired from this race, I'm afraid. And Malchirek has I think replaced his nose or something, because he has just exited the pits. But yeah, 3 cars out on the first lap. It wasn't as clean as I thought, and that incident down at the Degners has claimed some victims.
Yeah, so it was Liam Rance. He just outbraked himself into the back of Schmidt, and yeah, Reese just got caught up in it as well, unfortunately. Quick note as well: Jack Mayer jumped to start, so he does have a drive-through penalty.
Oh no! Jack Mayer, of course, one of the drivers who featured Williams, would have been gutted with his qualifying performance. Going to be even more gutted now. Maybe got a little carried away, but that can happen. Look at Williams. Williams to the outside of Francesconi. They touch again. Little wheel banging for second, and Francesconi just the place. But yeah, that was Williams' best chance yet. We're now going on to the third lap of the race, and Francesconi has dropped out of DRS range from Colin Sport, and this is the lap when DRS will be available at the end of this lap. So that is important. If Sport can continue to build this lead, he will have a comfortable buffer, especially if Francesconi and Williams continue to fight behind him. This is exciting for second, but Sport has a good opportunity here.
Yeah, like you said, got a bit rough to get past Francesconi at the start, but he is past and he is in the lead. So we'll have to see once it all settles down. Maybe if these 2 in second and third can work together, maybe they can start to reel Colin in. But it's early days, still got 22 laps to go, obviously. And like I said, DRS will be active again from the end of this lap. There's only one zone here, it's going up down towards turns 1 and 2. So obviously that would be the best place to overtake anyone here today.
Liam Rance has just come into the YouTube chat and said, I didn't expect them to check up that much. Everyone was driving like a grandma. That can sometimes happen on the lap, and do occur. But anyway, I'm sure that the stewards will have a look at that, and whatever they decide will be final. But anyway, just a shame to see 3 drivers out of the race already. But anyway, so Williams. Let's see how close he can get to Francesconi this time around. Francesconi has now got back within a second of Spork, so he will get DRS, which will be available like right now as they open it for the first time. There we go, the rear wing flaps open, and the gap for the lead is just under 9/10 per second. It's much, much closer for second and third position, and Williams is still in contention for this second place here.
Yeah, Singh and Varka keeping up quite nicely with Whitehouse. Whitehouse has dropped off the top 3 a little bit, but obviously there's a long way to go. George, Whitehouse, Thomas Vark and Sandeep Singh all within pretty close proximity. Tapper and Jubia also keeping up with them as well. Hygo Poom is is the one highest up of the alternate strategy guys. He is in 10th place. He has actually got ahead of Paolini, who started in the soft as well. So Hygo doing a good job keeping it in the top 10. Obviously, we'll be expecting to go a little bit further in this race, maybe potentially even lead a couple of laps should he keep within the pit stop window. So good to see him doing so well. And Keersmakers dropped down to 12th place, but is still the highest of the hard running tyres.
It sounds bizarre, but I often say that 11 is the best starting of the entire grid. Of course, anyone would prefer to go for pole, but I'd say it's better to start from 11th and 12th than say 6th through to 9th or whatever, because you have that alternate strategy, and sometimes you can use it to jump ahead of several opponents, and we've seen it used to its full effect. The last few races, actually, it's been quite effective. I think last time out, the driver who started 11th finished, I think, 6th or 7th. I can't quite remember who it was.
Yeah, I think it was Quinn. Thinking about it. So yeah, like I said, it does work. It will jump you. I don't know if it'll ever get you to win, but obviously it's a lot of ground to make up. But you definitely can get a great finish out of it just by finishing 11th, just by using the alternative strategy. I'm a stickler for an alternative strategy. I love it. So I love the way it all works. But maybe today, I think these top three have just got a little bit too much for the guys. As Francesconi's maybe a little bit closer now to Sport than Williams is to Francesconi. So. But they're all keeping status quo at the moment, so we'll have to see how it plays out. But it's a nice little train sort of happening behind Vark now. He's starting to lose Whitehouse a little bit and starting to stack up behind the 5th place man, CM Tech.
It really depends on the day, the track, and the driver whether the strategy works out well. But anyway, the day is now. The driver is Haigo Poom and the circuit is Suzuka, so that's the combination we need to be keeping an eye on, and seeing how high up in the order he can make it take him. But anyway, top 5 definitely possible today for Haigo Poom. But anyway, Francesconi a lot closer to Sport now, 0.2 of a second faster in the last couple of sectors, and he's getting away from Williams a bit. In fact, Williams at danger of dropping out of the DRS range from Francesconi at this rate. He hasn't got too much pressure behind from Whitehouse, I'm afraid, who is still fighting with Walk and Singh. But anyway, and a pass, and that was James Zuber ducking up the inside of Dawi Tapper into the Casio triangle, and he's made it stick. So Zuber up into 7th, and Tapper doesn't even have the DRS to come back to. Actually, I think he does from the car in front. Yeah, he does. But anyway, Christian Malczarek has just become our 4th retirement after we saw him coming into the pits on the first lap, and Jack Mayer has served his drive-through penalty.
Yep, just have a quick look to see what happened to Christian, but I think he may just be he's parked it. Yeah, oh yeah, he went off again at second Degner, and yeah, he's just called it a day, unfortunately, so that's a shame for the Fusion Racing driver.
Indeed, but anyway, 23 drivers still remaining in this race. All of them separated by less than half a minute because it is still very early stages in the race, and anyone's game up the front. But anyway, Spork leading Francesconi by just 0.7 of a second. Williams is about that off the tail of Francesconi as well, so they're pretty evenly spaced there amongst the top 3. Whitehouse has now broken the DRS buffer of Wuck, and now Wuck is going to be under more pressure from Singh and Zuber as Zuber jumps up the order slightly, passing Tapper on the last lap. So what will they be able to do about Wuck now he's not got the DRS anymore?
Paletzek's also lost the DRS of Tapper, and Poom will have it on Paletzek. So interesting to see that Paletzek's actually starting to lose a little bit of time on these soft tyres, and actually Haigo's keeping up very nicely. In fact, he's got a bit of a train behind him, so he's bringing them all along with him. So I mean, Haigo's probably too far back to make a move, but
yeah, Francesconi just took a look at Spork, and I think it unsettled Spork slightly because Spork went a little wide into the second apex of turn 1. It was never a proper overtaking maneuver, but that's exactly what Francesconi wants to do there. He wants to just unsettle Spork slightly, get on his nerves, and lead to a mistake like that, but bigger, which would allow him to go through into the lead of the race. There's less than half a second between them, so he's definitely in getting on nerve range. And Colin Spork feeling the pressure.
Yeah, I think Williams might be pushing a little bit too hard as well. He's went a little bit wide on the exit of Degner 2. Nothing major. Managed to keep it on the island, but he sort of like straddled the curb, which has obviously lost him a little bit of time. I mean, he'll probably gain it back, but yeah, just a bit of a scare. But
he already has. The top 3 are separated by less than a second. Even if Francesconi wasn't there, Williams would still have the DRS if it was taken from the last checkpoint. But anyway, this is really, really close. I think Francesconi might actually have a look at him this time into turn 1. It really depends on what kind of a run they get out of the Casio triangle. Here we go into the Casio triangle. Francesconi very close. Again, just showing himself slightly to the mirrors of Colin Spork's car. Now he puts the power down, but so does Spork. Gets into the slipstream, opens the DRS. He's closer to Spork than Williams is to Francesconi, and Francesconi goes up the inside. Oh, that was almost exactly what happened on lap 1. And Walk's got past Whitehouse, so Walk did manage to catch Whitehouse up again, and he is now through into 4th position as we were watching the fight for the lead.
Yeah, it looks like Whitehouse had a very poor final sector. Lost 6 attempts to Vuk in the final sector alone, so also gave him a chance to slipstream him.
God, I've made a mistake there.
Yeah, so shame, but still looking like still on for a good result. As my game has had a freak out, so I'll be back in just a second.
Okay, anyway.
Oh, there we are.
Well, well, that didn't take long. While that's happening, still the top 3 within a second. I think Francesconi is properly on the attack now. He's not just sitting back and biding his time. He's not getting into some kind of trance that you can often get to, just kind of following the car in front. He is properly attacking now. He senses the overtake. He's going to be planning it several corners in advance. And I think he knows what he's going to do now as they go out of Spoon Curve. It's a case of attack or be attacked as well if Matthew Williams can launch an attack. Although, of course, if he does, he risks Colin Spork getting a gap, getting an advantage.
Oh, he's going for it here.
Francesconi, oh my goodness. Oh, and he does go for it. He sells him the dummy. And that was an amazing move from Michael Francesconi there. I thought that the door was closed when he had to back out of it, but he went for a dive that Sport just wasn't expecting up the inside, and that was a really good move from Michael Francesconi. Absolutely clean. And Williams might be about to come through as well. Not quite. But anyway, what a move that was from Francesconi. That is exactly what he needed to do, and he leads the race.
That was an excellent. Yeah, he looked like he was going to go outside. Colin very well blocked it off, but then he went back. Colin sort of went back to the racing line, and Francesconi just sensed the opportunity. And yeah, what a move! That was a great little dummy, and I'm very surprised it worked. But fair play to Francesconi, and he's now through. Let's see if Spork can stay within DRS range of Francesconi and make sure he doesn't have Williams behind him through.
Remember, these two were separated by less than 1/10 of a second in qualifying. There's barely anything to choose between the pair of them. Francesconi currently leading because of his superior racecraft on this day, but Spork is extremely fast and may well be able to stick with him, especially if Williams hangs back for the time being and tries to pick up the pieces afterwards. But seeing that Francesconi's gone through, Williams may be fearing that he's going to start getting away into the distance. I think Williams will probably be on the attack on Spork here. Watch them as they go through 130R. He's going to have to back off a little on the entry, but he got very close there, and had that been a chicane, he would have made a dive for it. And now they go into the chicane, and he has to stick behind. I think he was just unlucky by how close he was that time around. But anyway, DRS again, and he's very close this time. This is just like it was at Sochi, and he goes to the inside and sells Spork the dummy, although this time Spork has the inside. Williams holding it around the outside. The next corner's a left-hander after this one. He's still there, and that is a move from Matthew Williams around the outside, and Colin Spork could do nothing about that. He defended well, but Matthew Williams fought better.
Very, very mature from Spork there. Give him the space. Obviously, he needs to give him enough width to stay on the track, and he did just that. But Matthew Williams, what a move! Round the outside in turn 1 and 2 is always a statement, and now he can go after Francesconi for the lead. But yeah, what a move! Fair play, like I said, he got a bit caught up into going into 130R and a bit crossed up. I thought he lost the opportunity, but Spork seems to have a little bit of lower top speed than the guys around him. So good job from Williams. That's 2 cracking overtakes we've seen. So very impressed from the top boys here today.
Yeah, absolutely. That was Kimi Raikkonen style from Matthew Williams there. Also, while we were watching that, James Suzuka passed Sandeep Singh, so he's now up into 6th position and on a bit of a charge. His next target is George Whitehouse, who is only just in front of him there, still fighting with Tomasz Vok, so Suzuka can see 2 for the price of 1. And I think he's going to go for George Whitehouse here. Look at this. He has the overspeed. He's on the outside of 130R. Now we've got the chicane, and he's still got the overspeed. Goes to the outside line. Next corner's a left-hander. Backs out of it. And he's going to go for it again on the straight. Williams has lost DRS from Francesconi in passing Spork. So Francesconi has a clear run at the front, but look at Zuba now, outside of Whitehouse again, gets further ahead this time. Oh, and they touch, and around goes Whitehouse into the gravel, and he is going to be dropping outside of the top 10. That is what I feared might happen with Spork and Williams. Luckily it didn't, but sadly it has happened with Whitehouse and Wach.
Thankfully, somehow, I don't know how, somehow still got his front wing. He did think he might have just missed the wall, but yeah, that was sort of very, very sad. I think maybe Zuba could have maybe left a little bit more space. Wasn't really anywhere for Whitehouse to go. I mean, it was a right-hander who was turning right, so a big shame there, because that was turning out to be a cracking little find. Shame for Whitehouse, but he can still get points here. Obviously going to be a bit put out now that he's got to be on the worst tyres in 15th, but oh yeah, his tyres will be all hot and bothered as well now, so we'll have to see how he can do. But we have had our first scheduled pit stop. Alejandro Lopez came in for some fresh medium tyres. I expect he will be in again towards the end of the race for another set of either softs or hards.
I also noticed that the stream was showing us Kasper Michala losing his front wing, and I'm afraid he's been into the pits again. He's still in the pits now. I also noticed that Lopez came into the pits that last time around, and I'm not entirely sure why that was. May have just been in.
I think it was scheduled. I think it was a scheduled stop.
Relatively early if it was, but you know, works for some people. But anyway. Williams now has the DRS from Francesconi again, and I think Spork may have made a mistake because he did have DRS but dropped back during the through the Casio triangle. Wasn't exactly clear why, but anyway, he is now 2 seconds behind the leaders. And what? Oh,
Singing just got through on Jubia. I think Jubia just went a little bit wide. I'll have to double check quickly, but yeah, Singh through into 5th from Jubia.
Yeah, indeed he is. Not entirely sure why, but...
Oh yeah, he went wide into turn 1. Went to wide into 1, caught himself on the curb on the outside, and Singh got through. So a driver error there from Jubia. That'll
be why then. But anyway...
Oh, he's all over the place. He's just spinning the wheels up out of decking 2 as well. He's really feeling the heat now, is Jubia. Maybe he might have sustained a little bit of damage from the incident with Whitehouse, I'm not sure. So, yeah, not looking as good as it was a couple of laps ago.
So after all of that, it's Francesconi leading from Williams, Spork, Wach, Singh, who's the top 5, Juba, Tapper, Polotsak, Prüm and Paolini make up the top 10. George Whitehouse has recovered in P15, so he's still on for a point, although he would have been hoping for so much more from today, and you could argue he deserved it as well. It depends on what the stewards decide of that one. And I don't want to make a judgment having only seen it once, but anyway, it is what it is, and I'm afraid that George Whitehouse is a long way down the order as it stands. But anyway, the race continues. Francesconi over a second ahead of Williams, but only just. Williams still. Oh, who's that making a mistake?
Jubia's just. I think it's Michalak letting people go.
Yeah, never mind.
He might have actually gone bang. But Jubia's just passed Singh again into turn 1, back into 5th place.
So he has, and I'm afraid Michalak has retired. His engine did just erupt, but Juba has managed to reclaim that 5th position. He knew he'd made a mistake and was able to gain it back again. George Whitehouse has actually dropped out of the points, got passed by Mike Quint there. So Whitehouse's day going from bad to worse, and yeah, he'll be pretty gutted about that one, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Williams back within a second of Francesconi. Sorry for interrupting, but Williams back within a second of Francesconi, who was only just out of that buffer. And now that he's free of Spork, he is free to stick with Francesconi. And not sure if he feels that he can attack just yet, but he wants to keep that DRS just to help him stick with the flying Francesconi. And maybe jump him in the pit stages. We'll see how it works.
Yeah, we've got a few laps left until we're coming in, I imagine. The only person now on the hards in the race at the moment is Keith Megas, who's currently in 11th. Hygo Prüm, still the highest of our alternative strategy guys, is in 9th. So he's obviously made a place with Whitehouse going off and overtaking Paolini at the start, as Singh gets back through on Jubia.
Well, it's because Juba's in the pits, so Juba making one of the first pit stops of our leading 10 cars, and George Whitehouse also wins. So Juba goes on to hards, And I reckon he's going to the end on those because
Yeah.
from up 13 of 44, 30% of the way through, I do think he will probably try to go to the end on that. And that'll be because of track positioning. He knows that when his opponents stop, they're going to be put behind him, and yes, they'll be faster. And yes, if this was a race where you could just drive straight through the car in front, they would easily get past him. But it's one thing to catch a car and another thing to get past them, especially at a circuit like Suzuka, where the turbulent air is so strong, has so much of an effect, and where overtaking is so difficult in general. As Quint backs off, and
because he's racing Jubia.
Well, I'm not entirely sure why that was. He seemed to really back off going into that section, and then Juba went off trying to avoid him.
Oh, Quint went off. Quint went off. That's why Quint went off in the Dunlop curve.
Yeah, that would be why.
Made a bit of a mess of it coming back on, but he is back going again, so that's how Jubia got through. And Jubia made a mistake going into Degna 1, and then Quint got back past, so that's how that all erupted. But just saying, Whitehouse actually came out onto medium tyres, so he's gone the different strategy than Mr. Jubia. I don't know if he'll be able to get to the end on those tyres. We'll have to wait and see. But he's already caught up. He's already overtaken Ribley. Ribley's got no wings, that's why. So there's been a bit of an incident there. But Whitehouse now about to overtake Van der Hudding, and he's going to have a clear track ahead of him to make some gains with these new tyres.
Paolini and Poom side by side. Poom gains a place. Well, actually, no, I think he was holding off Paolini. Yes, he was. As Jakob Kalberchik pits, but yeah, Poom under attack from through turn 1. I've just seen on the YouTube stream actually Massimiliano Riboli going for a crash, and I'm commentating this with a little bit of a delay since I do not have replays on my game. But yeah, Riboli, I'm afraid, is returning to the pits with 2 fewer wings on that car than he's supposed to have, and he will be last when he rejoins.
Yeah, shame I didn't quite catch what happened to him, but must have been involved in that incident around the Dunlop curve. But a shame, but he carries on to... Oh, no. Yeah, he still carries on to live another day. As Whitehouse now into 18th, and would like to move some free air in front of him. So now it's time for Whitehouse to pump in some very fast. That's he's just fastest in the first sector of the race so far. Let's see what he can do. I don't think he'll be able to finish on the mediums, but yeah, let's see. He should be able to get some points still, hopefully. So we'll have to keep track of his progress.
Sorry about that knock you heard. I dropped an entire plug extension. But anyway, into the pits comes Matthew Williams. And that is from second in the order. What tyres does he go onto? I would say probably hards at this point, but maybe... Yeah, I'd say probably hards. We're about to find out if we're right or not. Into his box. He's got the last pit box, and it is indeed hards. And out he goes again. I'm pretty sure that's a motorbike racing pit. It certainly didn't look like a Formula 1 pit box, but anyway. Singh also into the pits. Back onto the track goes Williams. He's 13th in the order at this point in time.
So Jubia has jumped Singh, but Williams, and he's got a bit of free air ahead of him, you know, so he's got about a second ahead. So he should be able to, with any luck, a good outlap, should be able to jump Francesconi here.
Wow, that would be a shake-up of this race. And Matthew Williams will be pushing hard because Francesconi is on the softer tyre, and it should theoretically be faster unless it's gone off. But anyway.
Yeah, Whitehouse just set a fast after race 31.2. That's about a second faster than the leader. And obviously that is on the medium tyre compared to hard, but Williams will be pushing as hard as he can now to try and get that over the undercut to work, as Francesconi has now got his pit light on. Is he going to react? He is not. He stays out for another lap. Sport does the same.
He had it on just in case. He didn't know quite what he was going to do, but seeing that he's got a lot of clean air on this track. Wow, Sport going... Oh wait, never mind, that is a driver being lapped, my apologies. But yeah, Francesconi, seeing that he had a lot of clean air in front of him and a lot of opportunities to hold off Williams' attack, he decided to stay out for another lap. But anyway, Williams has now caught up to Saracino and is going to have to pass him here. Saracino slower through the first corner, and this is not going to help Williams. And this is the danger in pitting earlier. You end up with a lot of traffic that you have to get past, especially if you're quicker than them. But yeah, Saracino not under any orders to get out of Williams' way. There are no wave blue flags, and so there shouldn't be because he's on the same lap and has every right to hold that position there.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely killing Williams this. He's so fast. Like, he got a massive advantage, obviously, with the fresh tyres, but like we alluded to in the pre-race, you just can't overtake in that first sector unless you have some absolute cojones on you, or you're close enough in turn 1 and 2, and he unfortunately wasn't. Is he going to be close enough to Spoon? I don't think he is, so he's had to waste 2 whole sectors behind a slower car, whilst Francesconi is carrying on again, admittedly, but could have come in then with a bit of a gap potentially to drop into it. Spork now comes in, so this will be interesting to see where Spork comes out in relation.
Spork is in the pits, and Williams is still stuck behind Saracino. He's still there into the Casio Triangle. Tapper into the pits as well, but Williams is having a horrible time here, and surely Spork has a chance of getting out ahead of him. Let's see. So Spork puts the power down. He's on hard tyres as well. Williams is side by side. Well, he has jumped. Well, he's kept ahead of Spork rather. Williams now passing Saracino on the inside, and Saracino has split Williams and Spork. So Spork not having a good couple of in laps. They've now got Saracino between them, and that is a sign of where Francesconi might slot into all of this. I reckon that he will be just ahead of Williams, and Williams may well have jumped him if Saracino hadn't been there.
So Vuk and Singh came in that lap as well. Jubi has managed to split those two. So Spork goes very, very aggressive over decking a 1 curb. So Vuk 12th, Jubi 13th, Singh 14th, all have pitted for their next set of tyres.
So Francesconi, when does he come into the pits? He has a 10.6 second advantage over to Polotczek, who is the second car on track, because everyone behind Francesconi and between him and Polotczek have all come into the pits to try to jump him. In comes Francesconi, and he will also be going on to hards, I expect. Brakes to the speed limiter, and stops in his box. Goes on to mediums, it looks, so that's interesting. Will he be able to go to the end on those? Probably, but it's going to be tougher than some of the others. Polotczek into the pits, Paolini into the pits. Now, where does Francesconi come out? Williams is coming. Williams is going to be right on top of him into turn 1 here. And Francesconi is going to keep the lead, but only just. That is exactly what I predicted. And Francesconi has kept the effective lead on the race, and he's on softer tyres. This is looking amazing for Michael Francesconi. And yes, he's going to have to work hard to keep them intact to the end. But that is a big boost in Michael Francesconi's race there, coming out ahead of Williams on faster tyres.
Yeah, and it was that 1 lap, wasn't it? That 1 lap behind Saracino. He lost about maybe a second and a half, maybe even up to 2 seconds being stuck compared to his relative pace. And yeah, look at it. It's cost him the potential race, at least the race lead effectively. So he's not wanting to back down. So obviously I don't believe this race will be over any time soon. Obviously 25 laps to go at the end of this lap. But yes, like I said, Francesconi got softer tyres, looking good. You might be able to pull a bit of a gap. But Francesconi's pretty good at keeping his tyres in good shape. So looking very, very good for the Italian.
So down the straight towards the Casio Triangle, Francesconi will probably be pulling away from Williams at this point in the race. Spork's got up to Saracino, and he's getting held up too. Look at that, can't quite get past him into the triangle. Saracino really having a say in the leading battle of this race, doing absolutely nothing wrong. He's on the medium compound tyre. Hygo Poon, meanwhile, does lead the race on his alternate strategy. Spork now does go to the inside of Saracino and makes it stick. That was always going to happen, but it separated Spork and Williams by a few seconds. But yeah, Hygo Poom leads from Kiersmakers. Kiersmakers on the harder tyres. And then it's more Lino and Lalu. All of those drivers yet to stop. They're all on harder tyres than the ones the leaders started on. And this could be an important saga in this race. How quickly the leaders get past those, when they end up pitting, and how they end up doing. Kiersmakers now within a second of Poom. Might end up with the DRS here. and that could be very important for the lower positions in the top 10, especially when these drivers make their pit stops. But yeah, real fight going on there as Francesconi is going to catch up to the back of Jaco-Pekka Lally soon and have to get past him on the track, with Williams following him through for company.
Looks like Francesconi's probably going to catch Lalu in the same place that Williams caught Saracino earlier. So not the best of things, but obviously now that their pit stops are out of the way, don't have to worry about being undercut by anyone. So that's a bit of a relief for him, I suppose. But obviously, Williams right on the tail. He's not far off him. I mean, I don't know if he does have DRS actually, Francesconi, but he does not, as Williams does. Williams not quite going to be close enough to make a move, but Francesconi gets a bit squiggly. But yeah, it's nice. Francesconi knows he's going to be there. Williams' tyres are not going to fall off anytime soon, so it's going to be a nice, interesting race to the end here, I think.
This will be helping Williams because it's bunching them up. It's effectively an accordion effect. And when you have a faster driver behind and a slower driver in front, the drivers in between you will all kind of squish up, as naturally would happen. Someone's made a mistake there. Lino, I think, made a mistake, and he's going off. So that's one car cleared from Francesconi and Williams as Giuseppe Lino recovers to the track, and I think there may be something... Oh, he's missing his front wing, indeed. Yes. Yeah, there's something wrong with that car. I didn't exactly see how that happened. I think it happened through the Dunlop curve because he was already having troubles as he approached the Degners, and that means that for now Moore is up to second, followed by Lally, and Francesconi didn't have to pass his teammate. Although I do think that Lino wouldn't have made it particularly hard for him. But anyway, mistake from Lino.
Yeah, so it's as he put full throttle down going onto the Dunlop. There is a bit of a ridge there, and he just lost under power, unfortunately. And like you said, he's now our front wing. It's not a disaster incoming for the pits. Fucking Saracino. Saracino trying to hold his time off the inside. They touch wheels as they go through the 130R. But I believe Vuk should get that move stuck nice and done, obviously on the fresher tyres. Saracino yet to pit, and in through goes... Well, through goes Vuk, and this is giving Jubio a chance to catch up. And Singh, goodness me, they're going to be three abreast. They're going to be three wide going into turn one. That is absolutely terrifying. And Saracino sensibly backs out of it.
Huber and Saracino, yeah, as Tapper also passes Polotsek in that as well. Well, no, Polotsek's trying to attack Tapper. Goodness. So Tapper under pressure makes a little mistake going into the S's, but he is okay. Keersmaker's now within half a second of Hygo Plume as well. So a fight for what is now technically the lead, probably won't end up being so, is on, and that is still important in the race. And they have traffic too. Look at that, a back market coming up. That is it's the other Mars 1 car of the other Mars 1 car.
It's Ribbley. Ribbley, lap down, and
gotcha.
like I said, to be lapped. But just going back to, they have not passed Lalu yet. Lalu's keeping his own. Good old JP. Francesconi Williams, but it's also given Spork the opportunity to catch back up as well. So he's now back within 2 seconds of the net lead.
Indeed he is. It's going to be helping Spork even more than it's helping Williams, I expect. But as Keersmakers goes for the lead, up the side, Kane almost bang wheels. Plume keeps it. Keersmakers with the switch back, and this might allow Mora to get involved as well. And slipstreaming, DRS to Keersmakers to the inside. Got it all going from here, and he does take the lead temporarily in this race as Hygo Plume drops back, and that is that Plume's tyres
Williams and Lalu! Oh no! Just about kept it on the road. Francesconi got through into turn one. Williams tried to follow him through, the gap closed, and somehow Williams saved it. I don't quite know how he's managed to save that, but good save. But yeah, a bit of contact there between Lalu and Williams, and Francesconi has got through and is now going to be streaking away up the front, just not what Williams needed with Sport now on his tail.
I was about to say, the only way I can see Williams beating Francesconi on the road here is if he's able to get past him in traffic and then hold him off until his tyres start to go off slightly, because otherwise Francesconi is just going to maximise the clean air on those medium tyres. We know how Francesconi is. Williams is now going to try to pass Lalu again. I'm just looking at a replay on the stream actually. Oh, I don't know why Williams didn't expect that gap to close, I'm afraid. But anyway, I can tell why he wanted to go for it. Often You don't want a car to get between you. It's going to split the gap, going to extend the gap. Williams to the inside of Lalu into 130R.
Oh, he's
and
scared
Lalu's,
off the road.
Yeah, Lalu,
Definitely.
I think, touched the grass there and went wiggling off the road, and that's put a car between Williams and Sport now.
Yeah, will Williams have DRS? I don't think he will. No, but that's, yes, fair play. He's scared Lalu off the road. Legitimate tactic as Poom has now come in for his one and only stop. Onto the soft compound tyres he goes. He should be very quick towards the end of this race. It'll be interesting to see where he comes out, actually. Mayer comes into pits as well for his stop. So Poom's still got a few drivers in front of him to stop, obviously, and he's going to come out in 15th place. He's still in the points, and obviously with drivers ahead of him yet to pit. So good stuff.
Jack Mir also in behind him, still having a torrid day, hoping to pick up 1 point maybe at this rate. I mean, he's on for less than that, but that's probably what he can hope for. Francesconi right on the back of Pedro Mora. This is technically for position, and it's important to see how fast Francesconi can get past the lower driver, and I say that with respect to Pedro, but he is on older tyres and a theoretically slower car, and he's also been slower this whole day of racing. But anyway, Francesconi takes a look to the inside. Mora went a little wide, and he's going to get a good run out of this corner as Francesconi. 130R is not normally an overtaking opportunity, but when you have cars that are separated by this much pace, oh, never mind, Mora keeps it there, as he is inclined to do, and he's still there into the Casio triangle. So I'll be keeping an eye on the gap between Francesconi and Williams. Williams now...
It's nothing. it's nothing.
He's right there, so the race for the lead's still not over. But yeah, as I said, Williams really needs to get past Francesconi in traffic. Here goes Francesconi to the inside of Mora. Now, and Mora looked as if he was coming back to him there. Williams up the inside, and again they touch. Look at that. It's almost a replay of Lalu, and they touch again, banging wheels on the exit. What? Oh my goodness, they've touched again. And Mora goes into the gravel. Now, I don't know why Mora didn't give up the place there, because they weren't really racing for position. And I really thought that he was backing out of it, but he didn't. They locked wheels, and around went Pedro Mora. Matthew Williams, I think, has got away with it without too much, without any suspension damage. I say that cautiously, but that is a little dramatic there between the two of them, and quite unnecessary if you ask me.
Yes. I mean, it's looks in this position, so he didn't have to give it up, but I mean, maybe Olu would be better part of Valor there, and maybe you should just potentially just let him go. Obviously, I can see why he didn't want to, but I mean, from my point of view, I probably would have done what you said, probably just let him pass. But that's racing, is what it is. What it's done, though, is cost Williams about 2 seconds to Francesconi, and now Spork is right up his backside. So, if anything, it's a bit of a nightmare situation. Francesconi is on the back of a lapped car, so he will be obliged to get out of the way as Kismakers enters the final chicane. So a bit of time yet before Francesconi has to overtake anyone. So Williams has now really got to put pedal to the metal if he wants to try and catch up Francesconi for this win, as Lopez has now retired from the race.
So Williams will be hoping with all of his heart that Keersmaker stays out for so much longer. But anyway, Poom there just passing Whitehouse. That's his first target. Pedro Mora into the pits. But yeah, as I was saying, Williams could really benefit from Matteo Keersmaker staying out for a long time, and inducing that accordion effect again. But anyway.
Oh, yeah. That's a bit embarrassing from Lopez. He spun coming out of the pits, out of his pit box, lost his front wing, and I think he's just called it a day there, unfortunately. As Mora is now in the pits after his little incident.
I call that the Gerhard Brundle. Gerhard Berger, my goodness. The Gerhard Berger, because he once did that in a Ferrari at Estoril, I think. Came out the pit straight into the wall. But anyway, so that is Lopez out of the race. 21 drivers remaining. The top 15 will score points. So that does give you incentive to continue, no matter where you are in the order, especially if the retirements continue at this rate. We've had 6 so far. Through goes Williams on Rivoli. Through goes Spork on Rivoli. They both managed to get past the one remaining Max 1 car, since Liam Rance retired on the opening lap of the race in that little skirmish. And Spork now right back on the tail of Williams again. It looks as if Michael Francesconi is clear and gone. But the battle for second is back on between these two bitter rivals who have been fighting at Singapore, at Sochi, and now Spork takes a look again, and that was to unsettle Williams, and it didn't. So Williams kept it stable. Meanwhile, Saracino pits, much to the delight of anyone who was about to come through. And the battle for second continues, Tom.
Yep, Lalu obviously has yet to pit. JP, he has a little special way with tyres as Mr. Lalu. I don't know how he does it, but he's keeping his tyres on, and not only that, but he's setting purple, I bet he wishes he was, setting green sectors as well. So Lalu's still got those great life in those medium tyres, so fair play to him, but has got the faster Vark, Zubia, and Singh not far behind him. So potentially a train developing for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. As I was Tapper's right behind Singh as well. So a bit of a train starting to develop there. But yeah, Williams just doesn't seem to have the pace of Francesconi. He just hasn't got the outright speed. Obviously, he lost 7 tenths in the last lap alone. So quite a big deficit. I don't think he's doing as much this lap round. But yeah, Francesconi starting to stretch his legs a little bit now as we now come to about 2/3 distance of this race.
It does help that Francesconi's on softer tyres and Williams is under attack from Book, but even so, Francesconi has had the legs over Williams today and has started to really run away from him. He's now within a second of Kiersmakers actually for the overall lead, so that looks as if it might be about to change as Jakopeka Lalu pits from inside the top 10. But he's caught him in a bad place actually into the S's there. That's where Williams caught Saracino earlier on in the race. Spork still right up with Williams. Watkins Huber pretty close as well. So battles still going on up the front of the order. And right now I'm most interested in Williams versus Spork because that's going to be for the effective order. As Kiersmakers there makes a slight error coming out the Degners, but it's okay. He still keeps what is technically the lead for the time being. But Francesconi is reeling him in fast and surely will go for a move this lap. I'm not expecting Kiersmakers to stay out for much longer.
No, he's the only person yet to make a scheduled stop. Is Kiersmakers' fact his pit light has now come on. So I expect him to be in at the end of this lap. He should come out in around maybe 12th, 13th place-ish. But I'll leave Hargo Poom in 10th on the soft tyre and he is starting to reel in the drivers ahead of him, Paolini and Politek. Well, actually, Paolini's got quite a big gap to Politek. Actually, well, that 6-second gap. So we just see what Poom can do with these fresher tyres, fresh soft tyres.
Does Kiersmakers pit? Yes, he does. So Michael Francesconi leads the race again, and his advantage is going to be, as we watch Williams come across the line, 3.8 seconds. That is good, and Colin Spork goes to the inside of Williams with the DRS, with the slipstream, and through he goes into second place. Colin Spork has got it back after all that's happened, and Matthew Williams is back down into third position.
Yep, on hard tyres as well. So he seems to have a bit of a pace advantage over the boys. So I think Colin might be back in for this race. He's going pretty quickly on those hard tyres, actually. He was actually the fastest of the three when they were in free air. So now he's back passing to second. He may actually have a chance of challenging Francesconi for the lead. As I say that, Francesconi sets a PB Sector 1 as Spork actually responds with a... Oh, that's a big accident in the Dunlop curves. Politek and... Who is that that's hit him? Oh, what a big accident. Let's have a quick look there. Politek made a mistake in going into the Dunlop curve, or coming out of the Dunlop curve.
I think it was Raboli, who was a lapped car. So Raboli missing his rear wheel, he's out of the race, so that's 20 cars remaining now. Polotsek's going to have to make a pit stop. Now, what happened there? I didn't see it at all.
Yeah, so he just made the same error as Quint made earlier. He's got onto power a little bit too early. Lino as well. Powered to a bit too early, and he's just come back onto the track. And Riboli, sadly, has absolutely nowhere to go. And yeah, I don't quite know how Paolini's missed him there, but yeah, that is Politek down, as that famous board boy once said. And Riboli, unfortunately, out of the race.
Oh, I've just seen it on the replay. That is a poor recovery, a poor rejoin from Polacek, I'm afraid. Looked as if he was a little bit out of control, but yeah, that's a big crash. And yeah, as I said, turn 7, the site's full of big accidents. It reminds me of Kimi Räikkönen and John Lacey back in 2001. But anyway, though that driver, Massimiliano Riboli, yes, he was a lap down already, but I'm afraid he is now out of the race. And Polacek is in the pits and might also retire here. He's probably not going to score any points at this rate. And by the way, he's coming into the pits. I think he might be about to retire potentially.
Yes, no, he stops in his box, so we will see him out there again. But he will be down in 20th and last on the road. Unfortunately, as his teammate Jack Mayer now into 14th, so Jack's had a bit of quite a good recovery drive. Whether or not he can get more than that, he should be able to get to Kalbarsic for the end. So we'll see how he does towards the end. But a good comeback drive from Mr. Mayer, starting with a drive-through and obviously towards the back of the grid at the start.
Seems to me that Mayer just hasn't had the pace today, and it's a rare thing to say about him. But yeah, I mean, he was a long way down in qualifying, and I didn't see any real. I don't know, Jack Mayer, we know he's a quick driver, and he has 2 podiums to his name already this season. Would have been a third if he hadn't picked up a penalty at Paul Ricard. Also would have been high up the order at Spa, but he was turned into a spin and into the wall on the last lap. But yeah, Mayer just had the pace today, which is rare. George Whitehouse into the pits for the 2nd time. That's not supposed to happen. And that might well give Mayer another point, because George is going to have to stop in his box and lose all of that time again.
Yep, I imagine he'll go on to soft, so he'll be on a quick tyre. But like you said, a lot of work to do. 14 laps, so you never know what he can do. But it does promote a lot of drivers up a few places. It puts more back into the points after his spin earlier with Williams.
Indeed. So Williams has lost the DRS. Borg is pulling away. He's gained 0.2 of a second on Francesconi. I'm afraid it's too little too late if he continues at this rate, even though there are 14 laps to go. But anyway, behind him, the closest battles to the top of the order. Sandeep Singh is still not given up on James Juba. Juba not that far off the back of work either, so those 3 could still change potentially. Hygo Poom on the softer tyre is catching Dino Paolini. I think there's almost definitely going to be a move there before long. Poom was ahead of him before the pit stop stages, and looks as if he might be about to get ahead of him again. And also we have fights going on between Mayer and Saracino for P13, and potentially also Moro and Quint for P15, the last point. But anyway, yeah, the main, I think probably the next fight that might have a change in it is Paolini versus Poom, although I think the most effective, or the most significant one in terms of the order, is Juba, Singh and Tapper at this point in time.
Yeah, you've also got Kismakers catching pretty quickly on Poom and Paolini. He did just set the fastest lap of the race the lap before, and then just followed up with a lap that was 0.025 slower. So Kismakers currently, like I said, fastest lap of the race, 30.4. He's absolutely flying at the moment, and flying up to the back of Poom. Paolini seems to have quite a good car for the final sector, so he seems to gain a bit of... Poom seems to gain a lot of time in the first sector and then lose it all in the 2nd and 3rd, so don't know what Paolini's done to set that car up, but it's working very well for him. And like I said, he's on a harder tyre, but he's got quite a good fastest lap of 31.0 compared to a 31.1 for Poom. So Paolini's doing all the right things.
Indeed he is. Paolini still in that 8th position, doing a good job. Poom does have the harder of the softer tyres rather, and is catching. Probably not as quick as he'd expect on Paolini, although this is a difficult track to catch and overtake on. But anyway, still going for it, still catching, and still very much in contention there. The gap for the lead is now 4 seconds, so Francesconi still pulling away at this point in time, and it looks to be over in terms of that fight, unless Francesconi's tyres go off towards the end. And Singh is now within DRS range of Tuber again. So Tuber, it looks as if he is dropping back from Thomas Fock. and into the hands of Sandeep Singh, and Dari Tapper only 1.2 seconds behind them as well, so not quite DRS range, but he's almost there, and could well be there before long.
Saraceno and Karbatic side by side for 12th place. Saraceno around the outside on fresh rubber and gets through Karbatic into 12th, and they will have Jack Mayer for company as well. So Jack, potentially another couple of places here to gain for him.
I feel like Jack's going to go for an attempt on this lap. He's been pretty quick on those soft tyres, definitely quicker than the fighting pair ahead of him, and that is even though Saracino is also on soft tyres. Oh, never mind, I may have just cursed him. He's made a mistake. I think he dipped a wheel in the grass, and off he went. So Jack Mayer, rather than picking up 2 places, is going to lose one to Pedro Moro.
So unfortunately, he's actually been on those tyres for quite a while as well. Actually, he's been on this will be his 10th lap on the tyres, so those softs aren't actually as fresh as I first thought. But Saraceno now off into the distance. His next battle will be with Lalu, but he is 10 seconds up the road.
Indeed. So the end of another lap, and Dari Tapper is very nearly in DRS range of Sandeep Singh. Singh slipstreaming James Hubert, still too far back. Hugo Poom also still too far back from Paolini. And they stay in that formation. And we're now into the final quarter of this race. So, after the pit stop stages, the order: Michael Francesconi leading by 4 seconds from Colin Spork, Matthew Williams, Tomasz Voch, and then the fight for 5th between Schubert, Singh, and potentially Tapper before long. Paolini and Poom are fighting over 8th, and it's Keersmakers, Lalu, Saracino, Karbatic, Mora, who's just got past Jack Mayer, who's down in P15, and then outside of the points are George Whitehouse, sadly, after his accident earlier, Mike Quint, Giuseppe Leno, Ruben van den Hudding, and Tobias Polotczek, and of course out of the race are Raboli, Lopez, Mikulak, Malcharek, Rant, Rees, and Schmidt. So anyway, that's how the race has been panning out. All of the drivers still remaining are on the lead lap of the race, although only the top 18 rather, within a minute of the leader. And Francesconi is still continuing to build up his lead out in front.
Yes, this battle for Voch's done a good job of holding off everyone for 4th. If anything, he's actually catching Williams in 3rd a little bit. So interesting to see if that one pans out. But yeah, Jubia, things like I was saying before, Singh can't quite get close enough to make a move. Same for Poom, really. Poom just in exactly the same situation. He can't get to Paolini. He can't get close enough. He's actually quite close this time by. Is he going to have a cheeky little look, but he just runs out of space. Maybe like an extra 100 meters and he'd have a dive, but it's not quite enough time for him to get the move. But sort of a bit of a status quo race at the moment, just taking it easy, a bit of a relax before the last 10 laps where people will start to really try and push in and try and overtake people again. Whitehouse, obviously 16th place at the moment, will have fresher tyres compared to the people in front of him, having just pitted. So interesting to see how many points positions he may be able to pick up after his race, which has been a bit of a disaster after the first few laps. So we'll have to see what he can do.
Indeed. Start thinking as well of your driver of the day. It's not official, of course. We don't have an official standing like Formula One does, but it's just kind of fun to think about, and I would love to see who you would pick for that in the YouTube chat. It would be very easy to say Michael Francesconi, because he has done a wonderful job from here. Despite losing the lead at the start, he's regained it and has started accelerating off into the distance. But there are some other very notable names that could be up for that. Colin Spork, of course, again doing a wonderful job in P2. And what's happened?
Sorry. So Hugo Poom round the outside of Paolini into the final corner, into the triangle and out into 8th place. Will Paolini have another go? He will have the DRS, obviously. Will he have a go against Poom into turn 1? I'm going to stay on board with him. Poom goes to the inside, goes to the middle of the track, but Paolini back to the inside. Is he going to... Oh, sticks on the outside. Nicely done from Hugo. Into 8th, status quo. Paolini 9th. Now Keersmaker's turn to make a move, having caught them up rather rapidly.
Nicely done from Hugo Poom. He's driver of the day. Possibly could have done a bit better on the ultimate strategy, but it's difficult to do at a circuit where you can't really overtake that well. I would also like to mention that actually Jason Muscat's just pointed out that Dari Tapper started well down the order, and he's now up into 7th. Indeed, Tapper started Well, I can't actually tell, but it was a long way down the order.
Oh no, Dowie. I think Dowie just finished start. Like, put a lap in right at the end. So, but no, not to take it away from him. Dowie has done the end. I think he set a lap right at the end, so he did start around 7th. Yeah,
he has indeed, and he could still do even better actually, catching up to Singh and Tuba. But anyway, I've also had another retirement just then. Mike Quint, I'm afraid, has retired from the race. He's become a 7th retirement, sorry, 8th retirement, and it looked to me as if it was maybe a mechanical issue. He just kind of pulled off the side of the road, and that was it. So we now have 19 drivers remaining in the race, with the last of those being Tobias Polotczek. Hats off to Polotczek for continuing the race despite the accident. We've just had confirmation that indeed Dawi Tapper did start in P7, so it's not been quite as impressive as we thought, but he still could improve even further because he's got Tuba and Singh right in his sights. But anyway, a good drive from him so far.
Yeah, he's doing a good job. So hopefully they'll be able to carry on with that. Mike Quint saying that he just had his car just shut off. Not the game, it's just the car just shut off. He's just not really sure why to retired. Potentially it's not an engine failure because it just says DNF for his own retirement. So very odd retirement there for Mike. So that's a bit of a shame. But yeah, a weird one.
Strange, but anyway, he's out of the race nonetheless. Will be classified, won't be classified because it's 75% of the race distance, isn't it?
Yes.
So I think he will be classified 20th. But anyway, it won't really matter to him because that isn't a points-paying position, I'm afraid. Change of position. Jack Mayer's off. Jack Mayer has had an incident with Pedro Mora. And so Mayer's front wing's missing, Mora's rear wing's missing. I think we can figure out to an extent what happened there. There's been a collision between the pair of them anyway, and I'm afraid that looks to be race over for potentially both of them because neither of them are moving now.
Oh, it looks like Mora's... I don't know, that's a weird one. It looks like Mora's game's kind of lagged. I'm not sure if he's spun it himself and then Jack's hit him, or if the game's lagged and he's spun. It's a bit of a weird one, that one. It's a bit of lag involved. But yeah.
Yeah, and that would be the second lag-related incident in 2 weeks for Jack Mayer there, which would be a big shame. But anyway, well, I also should point out there was a bit of debris on the track that Tobias Polotczek hit, and he's lucky to come away with his front wing after that because it was quite a heavy piece. But anyway, looking back at the replay, yes, it was indeed a lag-related incident, and that is a big shame because Jack Mayer has had enough of lag-related incidents, and that appeared to be one that was on Mora's side rather than Mayer's side, and that is no fault of Mayer's at all. So I'm afraid, no fault of Mora's at all either. So I'm afraid that is just a racing incident that has taken both of those drivers out of the race. 17 drivers remaining, and as a result, only 2 drivers who finish won't score points at this rate.
Yeah, which would be a shame, but yeah, it's a high attrition track, Suzuka. It's not a very forgiving circuit, much like the modern day ones like Sochi, for example. Lots and lots of runoff. Definitely there's a single blade of grass there compared to here, where obviously, yeah, you go a little bit wide, you will be in a wall. So a real test of mental strength as well as physical strength here in Suzuka, and obviously has been proven today with a number of retirements. Obviously, not a lot of them, not really their fault due to their own. Obviously, a few incidents like the lag incident we just had, but yeah, a real driver's circuit, a real test. This one, that's why drivers love it so much.
Some people saying it kind of looked like either Pedro's wheel disconnected or maybe its engine died or something like that. I don't know, but whatever the case, they're both out of the race, and it doesn't look as if it was either of their faults. So I would just leave it as that. Ruben van den Herding's just lost his rear wing, so that's another incident, and he may be about to retire because it's very difficult to get it back to the pits without a rear wing, I'm afraid. Didn't see how that happened, but anyway, we may end up with 16 drivers remaining. This is a very high attrition circuit.
Oh yeah, it's Van der Herding, yep, round again. He's got to be careful, he's got the leaders coming up to him as well. So I wouldn't want to be going through 130R with no rear wing when the leader's coming up. That's a scary prospect. Oh yeah, here comes, I can hear him now, I can hear Francesconi.
Well, I've set myself a rule actually that if I... Oh, and he spin. There we go. That's exactly what we were talking about, and now he's had a bigger accident. I've set myself a rule that if I lose my rear wing and not my front or whatever at any point on the circuit, other than like right before the pit lane in the last sector or whatever, I'm always going to retire, because otherwise the chances are you're always going to have another accident. It is ridiculously difficult to drive without a rear wing, and no matter how slowly you go, the car is just uncontrollable. So a lot of the time it is better just to retire rather than risk picking up a penalty for causing
who's that off in front of him? Who's that? Jubia's off. Jubia's just gone off at the exit of the Casio Triangle.
Oh, so he has.
I was on board with Vander.
Look at that. He's going to have to drive across the circuit to get back to the pits, into the wall again, and that might not be looked at very well. I've seen.
Yeah, that could be a bit of a...
James Huber trying to now manoeuvre his car into the pits. He's blocking the pit
That's going to
entry.
be... Yeah, he's gone backwards on track. The DC will take a very dim view of that.
Yeah, I have seen someone disqualified.
Oh, so he's just lost it on his own. So he has just lost it on his own.
And he's out. Look at that. Retires in the pits after crossing the circuit. But anyway, that's it for Juba. And possibly Van den Hudding as well, although Van den Hudding's recovering to the race. So it looks as if we're going to have 16 finishes at this race, providing there aren't even more accidents. This is becoming quite clumsy in the late stage, I'm afraid to say.
Yeah, so what Jubia's done there is there's a little dip, like a bit of a crest coming out of the Casio Triangle, and he's just put the power down on that, and it's just snapped on him. Absolutely no one else's fault but his own driver error. But yeah, going backwards on track, that's
We've all had that accident at some
yeah,
point.
Yeah. Oh, I've had it so many times.
Yeah,
I've forgotten how many times it's happened.
But yeah, you normally it's a retirement on the spot. But anyway, back to pits he goes, and he is now out of the race. And there are 16 drivers remaining, with Ruben van den Hudding, the last of those, yet to pass where Juba had his incident. So that means that Tobias Polotczak will score a point at this rate, and I bet he wouldn't have expected that a little while ago. But that is why I said props to him for continuing, and that is why you should continue in a race like this, because you can always have several drivers dropping out towards the end. Maybe there's a lag issue, several drivers get caught up in that. Maybe it starts to rain and drivers slide off on slick tyres. You know, Suzuka especially, it's an attrition-prone track, and I am not surprised that Polotczak is going to end up being rewarded for it.
Yeah, not at all, as you were saying. Just it's a very mental strength as well as physical test, this one. So props to the drivers who do finish. Keersmakers has made a mistake somewhere on the lap before, because he's dropped right off the back of Paolini and Poom. If anything, he's now got Lalu all over the back of him. So shame for Keersmakers, he's still going to get a top 10 out of this. Saracen are way back behind. So looking good for a top 10 at least for these two on the alternative strategy, as Poom seems to have sort of petered out now. He's not really catching Tapper. He's got Paolini behind him about a second and a half comfortably. So status quo there. I think the closest battle we're going to have on track is probably between 4th, 5th and 6th. Tapper, Singh and Vuk. Vuk currently holding the 4th place as we speak, but Colin Spork now 5.5 seconds behind Francesconi, 4 seconds ahead of Williams, kind of to the end. I think Francesconi's got this sewn up, really, with 3 laps to go as he crosses the line.
And suddenly Ruben van den Hudding, despite all of his problems today, has found himself in P16, and he's probably thinking at this point, goodness, I could still get a point here. But yeah, as I said, that is why you continue at circuits like this. But anyway, we're now we're on lap 42 out of 44, so very close to the end of the race. And the main fight still on the road is Singh versus Tapper, 7 tenths per second between the two of them. That's for 5th position at this time. And that is pretty much the only scrap we have on track. Keersmakers versus Lalu, still a potential change. They're separated by just 8 tenths of a second. Oh wait, never mind. Look at Kalberchik and Whitehouse. Wow, Kalberchik weaving from left to right. Oh my goodness, and they touch. Now I have to say, you have one move of defense to play with. And some people in the chat were already complaining about Kalberchik weaving, so I'm not sure how Whitehouse is going to see that, but anyway. Amazing that they didn't end up having a bigger accident than that. Kalberchik still in 12th position, Whitehouse still in 13th, but that was very hairy there.
Yeah, Kalberchik didn't really seem to commit to going over. It was very weird. He just seemed to be a bit all over the place. It was a bit of a...
Yeah,
Whitehouse is going to be a bit heated. I would be.
He went right again, Whitehouse then went to the right, and they touched.
Yeah, Whitehouse as well not to lose the car there, so we'll see, but he will get past. Look, he's got a speed differential. He's so much faster. He should get past them pretty shortly. But Lino could be laughing at this. He's about 4 seconds back. But if they keep tangling, he may be in for a chance of a decent point, maybe a couple more places here.
Yeah, absolutely. This is unusual. But anyway, here he goes in the slipstream again. Also, Walk may be under attack from Singh soon, but let's keep watching. Look, left, right, left. Where's Kalberchik going? Right again?
Yeah,
Whitehouse to the inside, backs out of that. He would have had to.
Yeah, there'll be words about that in the post race, I believe. That was,
I can't figure out where he's trying to go here. Onto the
I don't think he does either. But there we go.
pit straight again with the DRS.
He's trying to.
Left,
so he's trying to break. He's
right.
trying to break. Okay, so he's trying to break the slipstream, but
Left.
just a bit weird, naughty way, really, doing it.
Yeah, especially since Whitehouse got really, really close to him last time around. No, I
Yeah.
don't want to. I'm not in my. I haven't put my shooting cap on yet, so I don't want to like blame him or say that he's, deserves a penalty or whatever. But I'm just saying what I'm seeing. He is weaving.
Yeah, maybe up to the 130R was a bit unnecessary. I can see what he's trying to do on the main straight, but when you've got Whitehouse so close to you like the lap before, that's not really that's a bit of a naughty move, in my opinion.
Anyway, Whitehouse. Well, we're on the final lap here actually, and Francesconi is about to start it. So there we go. Francesconi starts the final lap of the race, and that means that Whitehouse will have one more attempt to get past Kalberchik pretty much. Also, the Walk Singh Tapper battle only has in fact, Tapper's dropped back a bit from that now, so it's just Walk versus Singh potentially. That'll only have one more chance to change. Lalu now on the back of Keersmakers. That's got a lot closer. And Keersmakers defends. That's how you're supposed to do it. Lalu to the outside line and goes past him into turn one, round the outside. Good move, textbook stuff. And Jakubek and Lalu up into ninth position.
Yep, Calvati just got a bit deep into the Casio triangle. Whitehouse now going to have a great run. So now this is where he won't be able to move too much. Stay there, young man. As Whitehouse going to be round the outside. That should be game over. Whitehouse. Oh, how was Ursi got that in? Whitehouse into 12th.
He was close to going off, but he kept it within the lanes, and that is position for Whitehouse. But you may feel a little ticked off by that, but anyway, we shall see. Anyway, let's watch Michael Francesconi driven a fantastic race. He's about to win by 6.4 seconds at this rate. Through the Casio triangle he goes, and this has been a wonderful drive. Michael Francesconi extends his gap to Sport for second in the championship. Not by much, but an extension is an extension, and a win's a win, like the one he has just taken. Michael Francesconi has won at Suzuka. Colin Spork is second. Matthew Williams will be third. They fought hard in the early stages, but in the end, 6.892 was the winning margin. Thomas Vuk is fourth. Sandeep Singh is fifth. Dawi Tapper is sixth. Then it will be Haigo Poom just holding off Dino Paulinus. I've got the hiccups. That always tends to happen in a broadcast. Jakubek Alalu P9, Matteo Keersmakers P10, Giuseppe Saracino will be P11, and then it will be Whitehouse, Kalberchik. Actually, look at Lino. Yeah. Goodness me, Lino very close, and he goes for a dive right at the end. Right. And he might make the stick still. They bang wheels. And they're still banging wheels, and Kalberchik's going to get a run out of the final corner here. Kalberchik does hold on to 13th just. To be honest, I think that one was fair. I think that that fight to the end was fair. But anyway, Kalberchik 13th, Lino 14th. Tobias Polotzek will pick up the final point in P15, and Ruben van den Hudding just missed out in P16, despite being a lap down. So as I said, Francesconi, Spork, Williams, Walsh, Singh, Tapper, Poom, Paulini, Lalu, Keersmakers, Saracino, Whitehouse, Kalberchik, Lino, and Polotzek are the point scorers. That is the provisional order anyway, the unofficial results. There is still room for the penalties, of course, although actually I don't think it is going to change the order that much, since Van den Hudding was a lap down, so no one can be put behind him due to like time penalties or anything. But whatever the case, that is the order for the time being. And one thing is pretty much for sure, and that is that Michael Francesconi has won this race and driven a wonderful, wonderful performance. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, it was very close early on, wasn't it? But I think Francesconi getting through the traffic a little bit cleaner than Williams was basically what won in the race. Williams may have picked up a bit of damage in that incident with Mora. I know he seemed to drop off pace quite a bit then, especially when Spork then got past him. But yeah, top three as we expected, but nice to see Vark in fourth. Good little race there between those three, Tapper and Singh along with him. And nice to see Haigo Poom get a great result in seventh place. So some good stories there. But yeah, very high attrition race. I wasn't expecting that high attrition, but yeah, fair play to the ones who got to the finish. Van Honey's going to be absolutely gutted to finish 16th, but yeah, exciting race all round. We saw some good stuff, and I've enjoyed it.
I'm going to give my driver of the day to Sandy. He was right there, very clean, very consistent, and yeah, he didn't have the outright pace of Michael Francesconi, but it would be boring to give the winner driver of the day all the time. And I think that Sandeep Singh deserves recognition for his efforts every now and again. And yeah, fifth place is not gonna go unnoticed there.
No, especially in that battle for second. Okay, he finished behind the guys who he's fighting, but keeps him there.
Indeed. So we're just waiting for interviews. Someone will feel up for the race. But anyway, do you have a pick for driver of the day, Tom? It's okay if not. It's a tough one.
It's between two people. It's Francesconi because I mean, yeah, okay, he won, but he did it. He definitely did it right, didn't he? He kept the tyres going at the start. He got the overtakes done when he needed to. He just did the best job, didn't he, really? And then Haigo Poom's my second one. Made the tournament of strategy work. Great result in seventh. Yeah, I think he can look back with that race pretty big smile on his face.
Indeed, he can. Since we still don't have any interviews, I'll wait a little for that. But I do want to say a quick thank you to Gerrit de Vries, actually, who I forgot to mention at the top of the broadcast. But Gerrit, once again, the cameraman, providing all the scenes that you've been watching in front of you, and also making the stream work. And yeah, we couldn't do it without you. But anyway, also thanks to Tom Parker. This is the first Superleague Lights broadcast you covered so far this season, and you have done a good job getting back into the swing of it.
Yeah, not bad considering I'm drugged up on paracetamol and ibuprofen. It was fun.
Yeah. Anyway, we can now bring in our first interviewee, who is going to be Colin Spork, once again P2. Colin, do you hear us?
Yes, I.
Jolly good. So, Colin, another podium, P2. You pleased with that, or would you have expected better?
Yeah, of course, I want more. I'm, of course, a bit disappointed, but still P2. I cannot complain.
Yeah, and there's only 9 points between you and Francesconi in the championship battle. It did extend to 9 points today, but that's not really that much. How are you feeling about the future, the remaining rounds of this championship? Not that there are many to go.
Well, as always, I'll be prepared. I'm hoping for a good battle again. I think it will be close, so we will see. We will finish on top.
Is Kota a good track for you? Circuit of the Americas?
Yeah, I think so. I think I can quite adapt to every track. But the tire will be tough there. So, and Michael is always good in the tire. So we'll see.
I've got good news for you, buddy. That's what's coming up next time. But anyway, good job today, and congratulations on your podium.
Thanks.
Anyway, that was Colin Spock, P2, after a close fight with Francesconi in the early stages, and P3 in the championship. But anyway, that's the end of today's broadcast. Join us tomorrow for the main Super League Grand Prix, which is going to be taking place at the same circuit, Suzuka. And then, of course, in 2 weeks' time, we have the United States round of the Super League Lights Championship. That will take place at the Circuit of the Americas on the 7th of October. But anyway, yeah, don't miss it. Make sure you join us again for that. And for now, good night.